the Small Sports Podcast. This week, we are going to get into all of the reflections from last week, what you can see coming up this week. We're going to be talking about fantasy, your starts, your sits, your sleepers, and of course, our takes on all the bets that we want to go into this week. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to all of our content. You can find us on YouTube for all of our video stuff. You're going to find us for audio on Spotify, on Apple, on Podbean, and of course, we're going to be bringing you more when it comes to small gaming. We're going to be doing a lot more for the Hollow Hunters Pokemon content too, so keep your eyes out for all the different avenues that we will be bringing to you, boys and girls. How is everybody feeling about week 2? Are we excited? There's a lot of nerves up in the air after week 1.
Excited for sure, because like we now are like, hey, football's on. Like we had a first day, like you're back from work your first Monday or Tuesday today after last night's game. You're just kind of like, everyone's getting around talking about it. You feel like you're back in football, but it was a weird week 1, man.
Oh, yeah. It was a roller coaster of emotions. Last night's game really tore me apart, actually. But overall, I think it was awesome. All of like being able to sit down with the boys, watch a bunch of football, and take it all in. I'm ready for week 2.
Like we ramped up our Sunday setup again. We always seem to find ways to continue to expand it and provide more bigger opportunities to watch.
It's going to be a work in progress as we go along, but man,
always.
We just want to keep shit fresh, man. Like I just want it to be a good time.
And like, I know I was walking into work, and one of my colleagues was walking in behind me, like right at the same time. He's like, I don't know about you, but Monday football is so good and so bad. I'm so tired. I was like, yeah, man, I hear you. Like, I stayed up and watched the game. I went to bed, and I was sitting there like texting the boys in the group. Was like, man, I do not want this to go into overtime. It goes into overtime. Like, I gotta stay up and watch.
I saw like the funniest meme online last night where it was like SpongeBob sitting in a chair or whatever, and it was like West Coasters when the game goes into overtime, when the 9 o'clock game was overtime. They're just like all nice and happy, and then it was like East Coasters, and they're just all like crumbled and
looking a little bit like Aaron Rodgers at the end of his game.
Oh yeah, God, Dave wants to jump right into
being
this
said,
weirdness.
Yes. We gotta make sure we want to throw this out to everybody, because this very well could be a point that people bring up. We are going to be asking everybody out there a question. It's going to be coming up on our social media, so don't forget to hit us up. What are you surprised about? What team are you surprised about from week 1? We want to hear what you guys have to say, and now we are going to get into some of our own small reflections from last week. Jacob, I think you're starting first. I am. I'm going to get you out the gate.
I'm going to get right off the gate on something that didn't work out for us. So let's just start off on a negative. And
let's quickly set the tone for everyone out there again. We're not always going to be right, and more often than not, we'll probably be wrong. But yeah, let's hit them up, Drake. How do we do?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously with our reflection, we want to look back at what we tried to predict last week. Tried's a really strong word there. And the first thing we tried to predict when it came to sleepers was Big Ben. We thought that Big Ben was going to be a sleeper this week. We thought that he was going to come out strong against Buffalo and turn up in a big game. And no.
No.
We really, I mean, he was 18 for 32 for 188 yards, and there's only one TD for Deontay Johnson. Was expecting a bit more of the two of them right off the bat, and just didn't necessarily hit what we thought it was.
Yeah, like that game I expected a lot more out of in general. Like I wanted to see Najee Harris be big. I wanted to see I thought Big Ben would be able to find, a couple of red zone tutties, and, maybe Chase Claypool would pop up, like Juju, of course, Juju. Yeah. Like there's so many weapons there, but they didn't seem to hit the mark at all. And I mean, neither did the Bills.
That was probably the hardest game to watch in the early slate.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's just so disappointing. Like it's not like you went into it expecting nothing.
Good defensive game.
Yeah, you go into that game expecting that there's going to be offensive highlights up the yin yang, and then here we are with very little.
Josh Allen had a hard time that game too. Like, Watt was all over him. But that wasn't the only thing that we tried to predict, because we did get something right.
There you go, Drake.
Alberto.
Yeah, we're never going to attempt the last name.
We're not going for the last name. We're just going to call him Albert O. Tight end for the Broncos.
We nailed it because with Noah Fant not being at 100%, he came in and did show up. He had some good looks from Teddy. He's 3 of 3, 16 yards. We had a touchdown. So I mean, like, he was relevant. He was there. He was playing. Clearly, it wasn't just going to be all on Fant because he's not there yet in terms of his health. So that was a good thing for us to call out when it came to that sleeper. And then our starts, this was a big conversation last week. TJ Hawkinson versus Kyle Pitts. Who do you start? And it was Hawkinson for sure. You watched the Lions game, which we're going to dive into a little bit later, but for the first at least half of that game, Hawkinson was the only guy that Jared Goff saw on the field. He was the only guy. And so, I mean, like he had, he had 8 of 10 with 97 yards and a TD, and he led his team when it came to receiving. So, I mean, that was big.
It felt like 197.
It felt like it.
It really did. Like, especially at the beginning where there was, like you said, nobody else was really being shown the ball at all, or nobody else was really producing when it came down to receiving. It was just the running backs and then Hawkinson and Hawkinson and Hawkinson. That was definitely the right call. Kyle Pitts, I mean, he looks like a strong player, but Matt Ryan had an awful game. So Kyle Pitts just had a very mediocre stat line and really wasn't a big part of that offense at that point in time.
And you don't want to overreact, obviously, when it comes to looking at how week 1 goes. Obviously, like, I mean, you look at Goff with Hawkins, and clearly they were the guys that connected in training camp, but Goff in preseason really only played a couple snaps. It took him half the game to figure it out. When it comes to Matt Ryan over in Atlanta, it could be a similar situation. He could be just trying to figure out some guys. Like, Kyle Pitts is still new to that team. He still needs to build that chemistry, and he's got guys like Gage, he's got guys like Ridley and that are there that he could be a little bit more trying to focus towards. So that guy's a big target. There's a lot of potential for him to do really well. But I think the chemistry's got to hit. So it might be something that you might need to watch, wait for him to maybe get his first big game before you might want to actually toss him in later next time.
So that start call worked out really well. Coming up for my end of things, we had sleeper for Ryan Fitzpatrick. Unfortunately, was not quite the right call. I mean, who's to say that it couldn't have been? It just was an unfortunate position where Ryan got injured. He got taken out pretty early. Tyler Heineke came in. I'm kind of looking forward to him. I ended up trading for him in another league that I have Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Just to make sure.
Gave up a little bit. It depends, because now, I mean, I think Heineke is going to be the guy that's probably going to have to stick in there and be the one that takes over while Fitzpatrick is on IR. But Fitzpatrick is on IR for like 6 to 8 weeks. So there's a good to fair chance that the Washington football team might bring somebody else in. Like,
it's his hip too. So
do you find a Cam Newton that comes in here? I mean, Fitzpatrick with a hip, being an older guy, maybe that's not going to be 6 to 8 weeks. Maybe that's season ending. Maybe it just lingers on and he doesn't play well.
It could be career ending. Like, it's not that like you don't want to overreact, but
RG3 is asking them to bring him in.
Yeah, I heard that.
And I mean, Cam Newton is obviously still going to be lingering out there too. So you never really know. I mean, when it comes down to sleepers, that one didn't really work out. Mooney was the other guy that I had in there for sleepers. He did fair. I mean, 5 of 7 for receptions, only 26 yards, had a total of 5 PPR points. So not outstanding. Really didn't do too much. Chicago got shut down. Yeah. They didn't have a big game. They got shut down pretty heavy. So the Rams just kind of slept that one for us. Then when it comes down to the starts and sits, we had Gus Edwards again. Unfortunately, made that call and he got injured before the game even started. So clearly was not available. That made Singletary the big play because also Zach Moss was out. Singletary, I mean, again had a good game. That game, like we just were saying before, was pretty quiet on the offensive front. So Singletary,
hard team to run against, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I mean, the Steelers are a great defense, and Singletary, did what he could with what he had. He was the only notable running back there. Tyson Williams did jump in for the Ravens though, for probably the first 3 quarters. He played really strong. I think he had 16, 17 fantasy points in PPR, so he did a really good job. Towards the end of the game, though, where things were getting really back and forth, you've seen a lot of Latavius Murray. I think Murray's probably going to end up being pretty important, pretty pivotal in the running back core there too, just because he's a veteran. He's somebody that you can rely on.
Big body too, right?
As he gets to know that playbook, he's definitely going to be eating some reps there for sure. Yeah. But that's the wrap up on my side, Dave.
Yeah, it was good. As a Ravens fan, I just want to point out it was really good to see Tyson get that that monkey off his back and just get that amazing touchdown run.
Yeah, man, he killed that. That was busted through that gap.
That'd
be pretty stressful having Le'Veon Bell and Devonta and Freeman and
household names sitting behind you.
1,000-yard rusher guys just chilling behind you, waiting to take your spot, and you're the rookie, but this is your opportunity, and he took advantage of it, which is great.
He ate.
One of the running backs I chose last week for a sleeper option was Chase Edmonds. I think I actually hit that one pretty decently. Yep. He ended up with 13 fantasy points. He was 12 for 63 yards. He also caught all 4 of the balls that were thrown his way. He racked up 43 yards that way as well. He did his job. Yeah, he did his job. Yep. And I mean, Murray was slinging. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't need to run
God.
the ball. Like, Murray just every opportunity was like, yeah, you're open. Here's a touchdown. Like,
You can just close his eyes and throw the ball and
think he did once.
hop and hop. I mean, like Hawkins was all over the place. Good for him.
Christian Kirk had a good game too.
Yeah, Kirk had 2.
I think he did all right with this one too on Jacoby Myers. I don't think he didn't excel, but he had 7 points. He caught 6 of his 9 targets. That's a lot of targets for
He had the most targets for the team.
Yeah, Mac Jones looked his way a lot, which is saying a lot because he did seem to like his tight ends a lot. He spread the ball quite a bit, but Eckler ended up being the guy that you really wanted to start on that team for sure.
Yeah, he was the stat line holder.
Yep. For my starts and sits, CeeDee Lamb versus Amari Cooper. Well, you couldn't have gone wrong either way.
Yes, sir.
But it turns out that I was the black sheep that was right on this one. You
Yeah.
guys went with CD, but I also went with Kyle Pitts on the first one too. So I think we're even on that one. But man, Amari Cooper had 32 fantasy points,
Only got beat by Tyreek Hill.
which had a game too.
Yes.
So that being said, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, own them, play them every play you can, and then I would suggest as well with Gallup being out, you probably want to pick up Cedric Benson.
Yeah.
That team's gonna sling the ball.
And well, the crazy part was before Gallup got hurt, Gallup also did get quite a few looks. Like he had a couple of good balls as well. Blake Jarwin wasn't as big in that offense as I kind of personally thought he might have been. So obviously CD, like you said, CD and Cooper are boys to play all the time.
Yep.
Start your studs.
In terms of our bets, just to reflect real quick, we hit most. Missed on a few big ones. We were right on the Texans, the Chargers, the Panthers, the Eagles, the Steelers, the Niners, the Seahawks, the Browns, and the Broncos. But we whiffed on the Bears, the Pats, the Packers, the Packers, and the Vikings were a really big one for me. I can't believe that game went to overtime and the Bengals won it.
That was one that
was
all
my
of
guarantee.
all of us guaranteed was not going to be a loser and did not pan out.
Look, guys, there was a lot riding on our first spreads of our of our career here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did all right. And then the Titans and the Ravens, we also missed on those. But overall, the week went as I expected. Yeah, we hit about 65% of those spreads. But
You know what? It's betting. You're not going to win them all.
No.
So you take the gamble.
You roll the dice.
You hit on 60%. That's pretty
Football would
good.
be really boring if you knew what was going to happen every single time. You know,
If you're
just
sitting there with an
wouldn't be.
almanac in your back pocket, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
speaking of not knowing exactly how things should have gone, why don't we jump right in?
The small stories for week 2. So, guys, just quickly, we're going to run through a little bit of what we think is going to be some of the big stories to watch that kind of lead from last week to this week. So, leading from week 1 into week 2, my first topic is Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Obviously, as we were just chatting on momentarily before, the Packers got routed by the Saints. Winston out there with 5 touchdowns, minimal yardage, which to me was very weird. But Alvin Kamara was huge. The running was great for the Saints. So Rodgers apparently, he was on the Metcalf podcast today, and he's like, I'm not a guy who likes to make McAfee, sorry.
Metcalf. DK's got his own show.
M's and stuff. Yeah. Anyway, Pat McAfee. He said he's not one to make excuses, but his first interception, if you go back and watch the tape, was because he got hit in the nuts. So maybe there was an excuse and it just went downhill from there. But obviously he did not have a very good game. Leading into week 2, he's coming back against the Lions. I'd hate to say it, Drake. I'm sorry, but I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be coming back pretty strong. Lions D's not fantastic. Aaron Jones needs to be a part of this running back or the run of this game as well. And Devontae Adams was pretty quiet. He was held in check too. So I think all 3 of those guys being studs.
Devontae Adams will have a game.
Big.
Devontae Adams will have a game, and the big reason, and I'll say this why. The reason I'll say why is as Dave's playing like Minecraft over there.
NFL.com had an ad pop up. Thanks, NFL.com.
It's all right.
Hey, we're on mute.
So but honestly, when you looked at the Lions' previous game in comparison with Green Bay coming in, their clear weak point was their secondary. A lot of young guys out.
Disagree wholeheartedly.
Court.
Their front line was just so bad, man.
Well, but when you get Deebo Samuel just busting ankles on everybody.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're talking about the Lions still. I thought you were talking about the Packers still.
No, sorry. But no, that was a really clear weak point for the Lions, and they just lost their best cornerback in Jeff Okudah with an Achilles rupture. Yeah. Who would have been the guy to shut down Devontae Adams? I remember watching him be like, is Jeff Okudah even on the field? And I was like, oh no, yeah, they're just not throwing to him. They're just going to pick on what's his face? So Query, I don't know how to ever say his name every single time, say it differently, but like he got picked on him. Deebo Samuel was dropping him on the floor. And so you look at Devontae Adams with no clear lead cornerback on there, he's going to run train.
Yeah.
And it's a game for Green Bay to come back, even if I was to say otherwise onto it. Yeah. It honestly is. And it's a rivalry game. I've been to a Packers-Lions game. It is a rivalry game. It is an intense atmosphere. So
when you have a position where you're losing your biggest corner, you're going to end up double and triple covering Adams. That's going to open up way more avenues for Aaron Jones to run like crazy.
Scantling could be a guy.
For Tanyan, Valdez-Scantling, Lazard, like for all those guys to be open and to make Aaron Rodgers look like the god that he probably is. So similar to Rodgers, last week, Josh Allen didn't do very well. Matt Ryan didn't do very well. Ryan Tannehill didn't do very well. So those are quarterbacks you expect to have big games and that we would have expected to go out there and eat some W's, and they did not. Overwhelming last week was Winston himself. Kyler Murray, fantastic, like we said. Dak Prescott had a crazy game against the Bucs. Pat Mahomes excelled, of course. So walking into week 2, Josh Allen, is he gonna bounce back?
That's a great segue, Luke. My topic of this week's Week 2 small stories is, in fact, all of the AFC East. That is a weird division to look at after Week 1. Week 1 right now, Bills are 0-1, Jets are 0-1, the Pats are 0-1, and the Dolphins are 1-0. That's different.
That's different.
That is a wild division. And the thing is, right now, it's just very hard to break down because we just don't really know what's going on. Are the Dolphins a great team? Because they shut down a Pats team that had all offseason to prepare for this game? Or are the Pats just really they're not nearly as good as we expected them to be? And that's reflecting. This division is going to be a lot better to look at coming next week because we have 4 teams facing each other.
Yeah.
Jets are taking on the Pats, and the Bills get the Dolphins. So there's just a lot to ponder in this AFC East.
Well, I think you said it right there. Like, are the Dolphins good? That's going to come into a big question this week. Are the Dolphins good? Can they hang on? Can they get 2-0 in that division? If they can end up 2-0 in this division after this game, man, I'll be impressed.
Let's go for the Bills if they can beat can beat the Bills this week.
If the Bills go 0-2, like the Bills, one of the like highest touted teams,
Super Bowl favorites.
Yeah, like I don't know.
And you look at, I mean, Miami and the New England Patriots have always been it's always been their kryptonite, really, and when it comes down to Miami as themselves, I honestly don't see why they were trying to get rid of Tua. Like, this doesn't make sense. He's not bad.
No,
he's not the best. He's not bad by any means. He's good. He's a good quarterback. He played well. I wish we would have thrown to Gesicki a little bit more. And so it was. But honestly, so I honestly think that they still can be very relevant in that division.
Well, if we think about the Bills' defense should be strong.
Should be.
But now, if you look back at it, Fuller's coming back this game after his suspension. He's supposed to be healthy enough. He should be playing. So then they're going to have Waddle. They're going to have Parker. They're going to have Fuller. They're going to have Gesicki. Gesicki, I had read up today, was not so involved in the pass offense because he was more so expected to block. The leading left tackle was out, Jackson.
Yeah.
He's going to be back this week, expected to be back this week. So if he's back and they can take that blocking load off of Gesicki, that's again another weapon out there for Tua. Again, Tua's not a bad quarterback. Is Tua going to be able to perform against the Bills D?
Waddle showed up, in my opinion, very well. He had a great game.
He had a really good game.
In terms of when you compare, I'm sure we'll maybe touch on Jamar Chase later on, but he showed up. He caught the ball. He saw it. The stripes weren't an issue. But Waddle came out and was just kind of, in all honesty, just fantastic.
All those rookie wide receivers caught a touchdown in their first game.
Yeah.
Smith, Waddle, and Chase, which is pretty great.
That's awesome.
Dolphins are they good? Bills should be good, but they had a rough go against the Steelers. We don't know about the Jets yet. Zach Wilson looked good. Like he looked, that was his first ever game. Same with Mac Jones. They looked like they were good game managers, so that'll be a good game to watch those two play. So I'm pretty excited for the AFC East coming week 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Drake, let's jump into your topic there, big dog.
Oh yeah, so we're gonna do a little bit of a running back roundup.
Yes, sir.
There. All right, and starting right off the bat with San Fran.
Yep.
And we keep coming back to Detroit, but
Mr. Injury himself.
yeah, most hurt person as it is.
One to most hurt.
We were talking about this, man. Like we were talking about this, and in the sense, like as soon as it happened, and you were like, man, I remember because you picked him up in one of the leagues, and you were just so upset because there's so much anticipation for him to do well, but then he just gets getting hurt, and so it's kind of like.
He's
Man,
29. Like now you're hurt again. You're out for the season.
I think
again.
you give him up. I think, in all honesty, my opinion, you give up on him if you're a fantasy guy holder of him. You wait until you know he's going to be healthy, and then when you pick him up, that's when he will get hurt.
It's tough to say though too because he'd be very, very hard to offload right now as well.
No, for sure. But like you don't even try. I don't even think if he does come back I think he's out for a season, right?
Yeah,
he's season out, and so he's done with that. But even then, like when it comes to next season or anything like that, I think you wait on it. Like I don't think it's worth the risk, especially where you might pick him up. But that being said, we were all expecting Sermon to come in and play that game as well. They decided to do a healthy scratch. I don't know what happened on the back end. I don't know if the story's come out yet in terms of what was going on.
So what they're
saying,
it was rumored that Jermichael Hasty and Elijah Mitchell both beat him out.
Yeah, I believe that. Because honestly, Elijah Mitchell came out and I thought he looked great. Like it looked like he was jumping into a starting running back role that was very comfortable to him. And as much as it hurt me as a Lions fan, he came on the right bat. I was like, oh, okay, it's not Sermon. It's not, Mostert anymore. I was like, all right, like, good. This is give me a chance. And then I think his first run, he broke it right down the middle for like a 20-yard gain or something like that. I was like, son of, like, really?
He made the most of his opportunity for sure. I was actually super impressed with Mitchell, and I think he's going to be one of the biggest pickups when it comes down to fantasy waiver wires.
He'd probably be the guy on the waiver wire. If you need a running back, that's who you want to spend your fab on for sure.
Yeah, because he proved himself right away in that game. He's a rookie, and I kind of think that also leads into the idea with Sermon and Mitchell both being rookies. I think that kind of makes your conversation, your point about Mostert being, maybe somebody you don't focus on anymore, maybe you drop him in leagues and stuff. These guys are rookies. Even in a dynasty league, Mostert's 29. He's been injured the last 2-3 seasons. He's got 2 rookies in front of him that look promising, and they've got a whole year to beat him out.
Shanahan is a running god too, so
I think Mostert's probably done.
Yeah. And then and there's nothing wrong with that, in all honesty. Yeah. And so Hasty saw a little bit of, but Mitchell definitely took over the kind of big role when it came to that game. The other bit is obviously with Eagles coming up, who are you going to focus on? And in all honesty, it's Mitchell. Yeah. I went over the waiver wires earlier today. We're all in the same league. Don't bet on him. But
don't let me know how much you bid on him.
How much you bid?
Yeah, because I did. I didn't go crazy, but I thought I'd toss it in there. And then just to kind of do that. But also Houston.
Yes, sir.
All right, because this hurts me so much. The man whose faith was wavering in his own team, there is a bit of light, and by a bit of light, a beaming, massive amount of light on the Houston Texans this week. They went nuts.
My team was the only team who won this week, boys.
Out of the 3 of us,
Ouch.
But all 3 of your running backs look great. I mean, I still think that personally, David Johnson would be the guy I'm looking going forward, but all 3 of them look great.
I kind of disagree. Okay. All 3 of them scored. Yes. Mark Ingram had the lead in rushes by far. Like he had like 23 rushes. Other guys didn't even have double digits. Yeah. David Johnson definitely did pick up a couple of catches though as well. Phillip Lindsey, I thought honestly at the beginning, I thought he looked like shit.
he had a fumble.
Yeah, like
It wasn't really a fumble. It was weird.
He wasn't well used. He lost the ball. He ended up not playing for a little while, and then in the third or the fourth quarter, came in for a drive, did well, got a ball.
So my quick take on the Texans running back situation is get the hell out of it.
Yeah,
Don't own any of it, because you have Ingram, who looked the best.
Yep.
You have David Johnson, that's his team, and these other two guys are here to take touches away from him. And then you have Phillip Lindsey. I think Ingram led the week because they were running the show. They were destroying the Jaguars.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen every week.
No.
I think Phillip Lindsey will actually be the guy. If I had to have a piece of any of them, that's probably who I'd want, is Phillip Lindsey, because he's gonna get the catches most of the time.
I still think that David Johnson's gonna get most of the catches, just because his after he's got so much potential after the catch as well.
And that's his
running
history.
And a mixture of both, because where Lindsey is a pretty good when it comes to catching, and you got at Mark Ingram, who's obviously great just right off of from a pure run play. David Johnson can kind of do both, and it gives him a little bit more of a threat to be on the field with play action for screen passes, for things like that. And you're running, again, like we we're just saying, yeah, you guys ran show last week, but you're also facing the Cleveland Browns this week, which it might not be the same situation.
So am I guessing it right here, boys? We're talking about Cleveland coming up week 2. Dave wants to take Lindsey. I want to take Ingram, and you want to take DJ.
Yes.
Everybody tune in, because I want to see how this goes down. I want to see who's right. Against Cleveland's definitely going to be a really, really, really tough matchup. Yeah. But I think we got a little bet going on here, boys.
There's a back. We could talk about this as a bet.
We'll see.
Now, that being said, there's a backfield that I would like to have either piece of, and that is both the Detroit Lions running backs. Both of them were top 5 running backs this week.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Against San Francisco.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest.
Wild.
It was the shining light in such a dark place.
Oh,
it was.
God, yeah.
It wasn't a dark place. The game turned around real quick, but right off the bat, it was clear to see where they were the most developed coming out of training camp.
For sure.
When it came to the Lions. At first I was a little bit worried, because I was a bit of a Swift fan, and I am, obviously, but Jamal Williams gets a late announcement a little bit that he's going to be the leading role for that team in game 1. So I'm okay, what's wrong with Swift? Is he not as good? Is Jamal Williams just the way to go when it comes to the running back? He just has that much veteran experience. But then you see him play, clearly earned it, was just fantastic off the run. But then you saw Swift come in and was just as good. And so it was how do you go? Oh,
technical difficulties.
What the fuck?
all right, we're back. There's no fire.
Nobody's burnt.
Everything's okay.
The only thing that was hot was Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift.
Absolutely.
They played lights out. I mean, they played a lot of catch up, so they got a lot of catches. But again, you can expect that going forward. So
yeah,
you want to get your hands on these guys.
Yeah, you definitely do. I mean, jumping into Lambeau, being the only shining kind of light in that situation with that game until later on when Goff started connecting, was the fact that Swift and Jamal were coming out of the gate hot. So they're both going to play well. And honestly, when it comes to as we'll jump into fantasy here in a second, if you had to pick either one of them, I think you're okay.
If you've got a share in either Williams or Swift, I think you're doing all right.
Yeah.
Both of them seem to be able to change each other's pace when it comes down to running the ball, and not just carries but catches. Goff little dump offs will turn out well for them.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes down to what the Lions can do against the Packers in week 2, maybe they can make it competitive. Maybe that can be a thing for them. But also getting into the fantasy, I think both of those guys will do well too.
Let's jump in. Hey-o, we're into fantasy.
Everybody, we are now into small starts and sits. This is our fantasy segment. Right here, we're going to be talking about our starts, our sits, our sleepers. So make sure that you guys are tuning in to talk to us about what we think, what you think about what we think, what you think about what you think.
He doesn't know. We just broke Luke. He didn't know how to get out of that loop.
I was in a loop. No, but obviously when it comes down to starts and sits, we want to know what you guys have made a choice on, what you guys think would be good picks as well.
Yeah, bounce
So
some
tune
conundrums
in.
off us.
Let us know.
Conundrums.
So starting off, we're gonna do the starts and the sits.
Oh yeah, let's jump right in as I push buttons.
I am going to be starting off with my starts and sits, starting with RBs. Starting this week, I've got Austin Eckler versus the Cowboys. The Chargers played really well last week. The Cowboys were a little wary against the Bucs. Their defense didn't seem to really slow them down at all. Again, Leonard Fournette did pretty well. Unfortunately, Rojo really wasn't that guy.
Negative points.
I don't think either of them hold a candle at all to Eckler. So I think Eckler is going to be a big opportunity to excel this week. He's my start. When it comes down to it, I'm sitting James Robinson.
Okay.
James Robinson against a Denver D. I mean, obviously the Jags had a hard time last week with a not so hard team being Houston. Honestly, I was surprised that they won. James Robinson didn't do very well. I think he ended up with maybe 5.5 fantasy points in PPR. So he did not do super well. And Denver's got their D back.
Yeah, Saquon did nothing.
Saquon did
Now
nothing.
that could be because
and that was
Saquon's
without
still
Bradley Chubb.
Yeah, Saquon's still kind of getting back on the
working
mend.
his way in,
but,
sure.
Yeah, Denver looks good.
But again, Denver D is going to be really strong, so I don't think it's a week that Robinson needs to be started. I think, if he does show up this time around, that's when you can start relying on him a little bit more, but I think the Jags got to find their own. Next, we're going with the quarterbacks. A start is Matt Stafford. We've been chatting a little bit. Oh man, my lookalike. yeah, the lookalike. Frig, and of course his face is right on the screen there. Okay, here we go. Right below. Do not make any conversation about this. Dave doesn't need the help. Matt Stafford versus the Colts. Matt Stafford has found a team.
No kidding.
The Rams, Matt Stafford, his receivers, his tight ends, even Darrell Henderson had a good game. I think the Rams are just on fire. You can't not start Stafford this week. The Colts were not a super difficult team to play against last week as well. So I think going into week 2, Stafford's going to light them up. The sit is going to be Sam Darnold. The Panthers did win against the Jets, but it is just the Jets. Is Sam Darnold really going to be the one who kind of comes into this league and takes over with the Panthers? I personally don't believe so. And he's playing the Saints. Saints are, again, coming off a big momentum win against the Packers. So I don't think he's going to be the guy that comes in there and just has a shoot-off with
that Saints D
Winston.
line is good, too.
So, yeah, Saints D was dominating.
And you look at Stafford, man. Like, Stafford, people are starting to now realize game 1, which I'm so happy it was game 1, how good Stafford is. Like, he
Pass
was...
one.
Pass one. Honestly,
one.
yeah, you're right.
one.
You're right. It was honestly pass one. Everyone's like, that whole stadium, which just looks incredible, by the way.
Amazing.
That whole stadium was just like, oh.
Look what we got.
Yeah.
A shiny new toy.
Yeah, so it was
It's nice to
for
see.
him, man.
I like it for McVay and I like it for Stafford. It's nice that they have Stafford or McVay as a guy that actually can understand the system and like make his own calls and really shine. Like that's a very good quarterback.
And he's got a good
system.
he's got a good core of receivers to help him out too.
Yeah.
I think Sam Darnold is gonna do well with the Panthers. The Panthers have good enough receivers.
Just
too.
not this week.
This isn't the week.
If
for
you have
him.
other options, sit Sam Darnold.
Yeah,
Sure.
for sure.
Mr. Drake, why didn't you jump into tight ends?
I will, because you will. Well, Luke, you're going all flustered now. Oh, I will jump in because I am starting this week, Mr. Tyler Higbee. And the reason is honestly, like, with everything going on with the Rams and how well that team does look, Stafford has historically has some experience with his throwing to tight ends. He likes to. It's not like he's jumping from a QB that doesn't like to throw to, vice versa or whatnot. So with Higbee, I think that with the strength of how Stafford's doing is going to elevate his potential playing, especially against a team like the Colts. And that
He should find the end zone this time around.
I'm hoping he does, because he didn't last, and I know there's a lot of threats there. But as again, Stafford and that team start to get to kind of meld a little bit more and just kind of get together and the chemistry starts to grow, you're going to start to realize that Higbee is a very good end zone and red zone option. Just having that height and being able to throw up to somebody, because I mean, on that, you can let me know, but on that offensive, that receiving core, there's not a lot of crazy height there. I mean, like Cooper Kupp is a tall guy, whatever. He's obviously his favorite.
Woods is a good body, but I think Higbee would still be the bigger
You need someone
guy.
to throw to a fade to in the corner. That's going to probably be your guy that you kind of want. As for my sits, I am sitting Hunter Henry.
Yeah.
For a couple of reasons. I mean, Mac Jones obviously is trying to find that still like chemistry with this team, but clearly Jonnu was the guy on that team when it comes to tight end.
I feel like Hunter Henry wasn't in for as many snaps as Jonnu. They ended up with the same amount of targets, but that's just, I think at the end Hunter Henry got a couple extra throws. Like I don't think he really stood out for them very much.
I think Jonnu's athleticism is just the big thing when it comes to that. I think that's somebody that they really do need on that team. He's a good size, good target. He's quick, good route runner, and you can clearly see that Mac Jones liked him, threw to him in the positions that he needed to. Yeah. He had one touchdown, I think, that game. Was it? That he was targeted in the end zone. I don't know if he dropped it or not when I was thinking about it. Yeah.
No,
he didn't have a touchdown. I remember he threw to him in the end zone because I remember he dropped it, or maybe he dropped it or it was a penalty or something like that. But
even
clearly,
getting that red zone look.
Yeah, he's getting it, and he's going to be, again, tight ends in the end zone, especially Pats, they love it. I mean, you know that McDaniels did not throw out those plays from the playbook when they had Gronk there. So, I mean, John would be a good guy to go there.
If you are a Hunter Henry owner, make sure you hold on to him, though.
A
big part of what I think is going on right now is he's still not fully healthy. So he was limited snaps. I think down the road, I think Hunter Henry will have a better season than Jonnu Smith overall. I just think he needs a little bit of time for him to get better, become more healthy. Talent-wise, Hunter Henry is the better athlete than Jonnu. But Jonnu has a lot of veteran experience. Very, don't get me wrong, I'm not taking away from Jonnu. Incredible athlete too. I do think that Hunter Henry will surpass him down the road. But this week, until you see that chemistry, until you see Mac Jones really hone in on one guy, I don't think you can start him.
No, and I'm just to go off of what you said there, I think the big thing too, when it comes to a Belichick type of offense, I think that Hunter Henry needs to get back quickly though. Because if Jonnu gets too in depth in that system, and especially with a young quarterback, if Hunter Henry doesn't get back in time, they will just stick with Jonnu, I think, just for a pure chemistry reason, where he's spent the time to build it up with Mac Jones well. So I think we got to look at maybe potentially with Hunter Henry how quickly he's going to find his way back into the offense as a maybe more of a prominent role.
And you know what? Maybe the way they play against the Jets, maybe that ends up being a thing. I guess we'll find out. Dave, we got wide receivers next. Where are you at?
Wide receivers. Start Antonio Brown, baby.
Yes.
God, yeah.
Light him up.
Let's
guy
go.
is back to what he's normally looking like. They have Atlanta this week. They're in Atlanta. Atlanta is a terrible football team on defense. I'm sure any Falcons fans, actually, I want to like the Falcons. They've burned me so many times in bets, and I just will never bet on them again. But man, Antonio Brown looked awesome. Tom Brady's looking like himself. Atlanta just took a big loss to the Eagles, and I don't think Atlanta has what it takes to cover Godwin and Evans and Brown
and Gronk.
It's not going to happen. There's just too much weaponry, and I think that Antonio Brown is going to stand out. And Tom Brady really, really is attached to this guy. He likes him a lot.
Oh yeah, well when he sleeps over at his house all the time, I mean, like,
and he's played him for how many years now and knows how crazy of an athlete he is.
Yeah.
Like,
so himself and my next sitting candidate, they both were targeted for projected for 13 points. That's why I kept them together. You want to sit Brandon Cooks this week, guys. They're going into Cleveland. They're not at home. They're actually in Cleveland. Cleveland's coming off a very tight and upsetting loss to the Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning AFC champs. And I think Cleveland's going to come out and sling it. And their defense looked pretty good until Mahomes was like, "Yeah, well, I'm Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to
You're
drop
not
some
going to see
bombs.
Tyrod Taylor come back in the fourth quarter like that.
No.
So.
So I think Brandon Cooks is still a viable play. But if you can put someone in over him, I think you should.
He's definitely not going to be a starting wide receiver if you have to throw him into a flex. But try and find another
injuries or
option.
do whatever, because
Exactly.
the only thing is about that Cleveland game is the fact that they, no offense, but they will probably be playing from behind at some point.
Oh, I would
which means
imagine.
that they're going to be hucking the ball. And I think Brandon Cook's speed, there could be an opportunity, but there's no guarantee that that's who he's going to be connecting with.
Right.
So,
Like again, I think Anthony Miller is supposed to be coming off of his sit out from coach's decision next week, and of course, like we just talked about, there's so many opportunities for those little dump off passes with the running backs. Farrell Brown as a tight end had a really good game.
He did.
So having those other opportunities, having those other guys, I think Brandon Cooks is not going to be the guy who's getting the ball in the end zone that often. So I think you're right there, Dave.
So we all agree on that one.
Yeah.
Let's why don't we have a nap?
A nap. Get into some sleepy times.
who's going first here?
Sleepies.
Who's going first?
That's me. That's me. I got it here. I'm starting off with a sleeper that I feel is going to be big. Tight end Robert Tonyan. Again, we've been talking about Aaron Rodgers' comeback in week 2. I think Aaron Rodgers is obviously going to have a big game. I think, like we were saying before, Devonta Adams obviously is going to have an outstanding game, but he's probably going to end up double and triple covered. When he's double and triple covered, Robert Tonyan is going to be able to get the ball. I think he's probably a more reliable receiver than a lot of the wide receivers that he has. I think Aaron Jones is going to open it up for them as well. He may not necessarily need to be the guy out there blocking all the time because the O-line should show up. So I think Tonyan's going to be a big guy there.
Should show up.
Should.
Well, yeah.
Should. That's why it's a sleeper.
Right.
He should.
And I mean, George Kittle had a really good game against the Lions as well, right? So
Yeah.
if you can take that, reflect it, and
Also
you want,
Kittle.
yeah, exactly.
Fair.
But you also have Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball now too, right? So
Well,
if
I'm mad
Rodgers
Aaron
is-
Rodgers.
right.
An upset, angry, has read all the tweets and comments. Aaron Rodgers. That's what I'm scared about.
That's right.
I don't think Aaron Rodgers has thrown more touchdowns against any other team than the Lions.
No.
That may be a stat I made up, but that sounds pretty right to
It's
me.
something I feel, he says.
Yeah, I think Tony's a good start. A good call on that one.
Yeah, and then when it comes down to the next part here, I have wide receiver Van Jefferson.
I love this pick.
Yeah, man. I mean,
I love this.
You obviously think Cup is going to have a great game. Woods going to have a great game. Those guys are already guys you're starting. You're starting those guys, no problem.
Correct.
But we've been talking about Matt Stafford all episode. Matt Stafford is killing it with the Rams, and he already has a great connection with Van Jefferson. Van had 3 catches last game,
Yep.
had a touchdown,
big touchdown.
looked real
Massive.
strong, really fast, and again, I think, like you were saying, Higbee's going to be your start for the week. I think everybody in the Rams is somebody you want to start right now.
You could, and I think the big thing with Van is his potential because of the fact that you have Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. We're going to take a lot of the attention from a defensive standpoint. Matt Stafford is an incredibly intelligent quarterback. He runs through his reads very, very much. Look at the receivers he's thrown to in his time that have all been together. Chad Johnson, Golden Tate, Marvin Jones Jr., Galladay. He didn't just pass to one receiver his whole time. He read through, and that's how Van.
When he had Megatron, I would differ. I'd
Sure,
beg
but
to
there's
differ.
other guys on that team still,
Yeah.
though, right? And when you look at it, like not last night, but on
Sunday
Sunday, when he was going through, he's looking Cooper Kupp, then he's looking Woods, and then he goes, okay, he's out there, and he'll
not staying
throw
in
it to
one
Van
spot.
Jefferson, and he capitalized. He caught the ball.
And that's
Which is a big thing.
exactly what happened to the Colts D with Russ last week as well. Russ went everywhere. He found Gerald Everett. He had DK. He had Lockett. So everybody was getting the opportunities, and I think that's probably going to happen again with Matt Stafford and Van Jefferson. Drake, we got
Hi.
you up next, bro.
Hello. Yes.
Hi.
That's my transition. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. My sleeper for the week is going to be the young Mr. Wilson.
Mr. Wilson.
Mr. Wilson, yes. We'll call him Mr. now because he's starting to graduate in the NFL. Zach Wilson, I think coming into his second game, getting a little bit more confident as it's going through, he'll have a whole week of what I think is really big off of this. for a young quarterback is a week of breakdown of his first game.
Correct.
Where he's going to be learning a huge amount of things from his...
He gets to do some small reflections.
He does.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, sir.
Oh, man. But yeah, he's going to be going through figuring out, okay, where are my holes? Where can I fix, mistakes that I made? Where can I capitalize on other things? He's going to look at Corey Davis being like, we killed it.
That's going to be a big part of it.
Yeah. And so I think Corey Davis is going to be the guy who's going to help him get even better. If you have Corey Davis, play him.
Wilson is projected 18 points. I can definitely see him clearing that.
Yeah, I think it'll be big. I think he'll just have that a little bit more confident. He'll be a little bit more calm. He'll have, in my opinion, an entire extra quarter, because I think for a lot of quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence, guys like that, the first quarter is a write-off from these guys. Like, they are learning, and just anxiety and fans and everything like that, that they're really going to have to just kind of focus a little bit in. And now they're going to have a first quarter jump in. They'll be a little bit more calm. This is what I know I'm doing. It's a big game. Jets and Pats is always pretty entertaining sometimes. So it's
he gets to be at home. His first game at home.
Yeah, honestly. And so the other sleeper that I do have is good old Jared
Literally
Cook.
old.
Literally old.
Older,
Yeah.
sorry.
He's only
older.
expected 7 points, but and the Cowboys look great overall, but they did let Gronk kind of go.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what it is.
A couple tutties.
I'm understating a little bit here. But they did let him go. I think Herbert is just going to want to start to connect with some guys. I know Jared Cook is going to be a pretty big target for him, especially with the other weapons that they have on the team. I think that Cook could be a guy that, again, he's always been in the league for a while. He's not going to be a guy that you're going to focus on defensively. So I think he's just going to offer a really big body, especially red zone threat. Gets a touchdown, he's worth it for me personally. If he gets a touchdown,
that's what tight ends are, right? If a tight end gets a touchdown, then you're happy you started.
And I think that'll be a good look for them. I think they're going to focus a lot on the outside.
Well, Mike Williams went off last game. Keenan Allen did really well last game. So there's a lot of guys in that offense that the Cowboys are going to have to keep eyes on. I mean, Herbert really liked Hunter Henry last year when he was healthy. So if that same connection can be made with the next tight end, again, a veteran tight end who's very serviceable. Jared Cook, again, did play pretty well last week. I think he's got an opportunity to do well again this time too.
He's going to get the opportunities when they see, or Herbert sees, a safety or a corner covering him, essentially, because they do have a strong linebacking core in the Cowboys, especially with their young. What's his name there? Why is it blanking me right now? I'm on a sports podcast.
A linebacker? A corner?
Yeah.
Micah Parsons?
Yeah, it's Micah Parsons.
Oh, okay.
He's very quick.
I would not, if I'm Herbert and I see Micah on him, I'm not throwing him the ball.
No, exactly. No. You're not throwing the ball.
But when you see at the ball,
when you see the corner and the safety on, especially red zone, maybe they're throwing blitz at you. I'm hucking the ball up a little bit, and I'm saying, hey, use your body, and that's kind of where I would see him succeed. Is really where that's coming. The
one point I like to make on Jared Cook is this game should be a shootout. Like, it should be a shootout.
Yeah,
same as against the Bucs.
So you should see the Chargers make it into the red zone often, rather than just kind of a big play to Mike Williams or a big play to Keenan Allen. It should be progressing the ball down the field. Boom, we're in the red zone. Okay, I've got my 6'5", 235-pound tight end. Go up and make a play, big guy. So you should, Jared. If you've got Jared Cook and he's kind of on the fence of whether you want to start him, I think it's a good idea.
He does He does well on the flats too, like little quick shots. I think he did well when he was in this New Orleans for it. So hopefully Herbert can start to utilize that a little bit. He doesn't always have to huck the ball 200 yards down the field. So
yeah.
Davey,
I've got a running back and I've got a wide receiver. We're gonna go with the running back first and foremost. I think. Everyone out there should start up J.D. McKissic.
All right.
Running back for the Washington football team. They are hosting the New York Football Giants.
New York Football Giants.
That's their name.
They are not Giants. They are giant failures.
Oh.
Wow. Sorry for the Giants fans out there.
That being said, J.D. McKissic is slotted in for a total of whopping 5 fantasy points, which I think there's way more potential here. With Heineke at the helm, we should see a bit of catch-up, a lot of that happening, right? And a lot of dump passes are going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? So Gibson's obviously the guy to own. If you have him, good job.
Start your studs.
But I think J.D. McKissic should, especially if you're in a PPR or a half PPR, J.D. McKissic should have a really good game against a pretty mediocre Giants defense.
Because, I mean, Curtis Samuel may not be coming back this game. You're not sure if he's going to be healthy enough.
He's not coming back.
Yeah, and Gibson also was questionable. He's supposed to be healthy again. He should be playing. But if he's still, maybe a little wavered from having some injuries, McKissick might get more and more looks. So
fire him up.
Good thought.
Wide receiver, Tim Patrick, Denver Broncos.
Holler.
They are on the road again. They don't care. They're in Jacksonville, and they're going to be taking on a very disgruntled Urban Myers and Trevor Lawrence. Did you guys see his face on the sidelines during that
he was
game?
sour.
It didn't change. He's trying to do his best Bill Belichick impression, man. Like he was just, brutal.
Looking like a mad Derek Carr.
No, in his head, he's like, the fucking Texans. This is who's kicking our ass.
We don't even have Watson? Come on.
Yeah, so Jerry Jeudy, so sad. I have some ownership of Jerry Jeudy in a many league, and it's very heartbreaking to hear that he is out for probably 8 weeks, maybe more.
Yeah.
So
I'm guessing it. Yeah, I'm gonna guess it's gonna be more.
Guaranteeing 3 weeks, 3 games is what they just said before we started, I think, today.
So with him out, a lot of people I'm hearing too are really hyped about KJ Hamler, which I also think is going to be a good going forward. But people are sleeping on Tim Patrick, man.
Yeah.
He's just start him. Teddy likes him. He's going to throw it to him in the end zone. He's a big boy. Tim Patrick, he should get more than his projected 7 points.
With Sutton out last year, Tim Patrick came in and did very well. He was, again, a start-sit candidate for a lot of weeks last year, too. And I think, last game, he already got more opportunity than KJ, too. So I think you're probably right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim Patrick is about the same size as like Julio Jones.
Yeah, he's a big dude, 6'4".
I'm just going to double check Julio here. Julio Jones, 6'3", 220. And Patrick is sitting at 6'4", 215. Like,
yeah.
That's
big dude.
It's a big target, right?
And he's not old, but he's got some experience now. He's been in the league a little while. He's earned his stripes, so I think he's got an opportunity to help Teddy B out.
All right, let's I think it's a good wrap to some sleepers and some starts of the week. Let's make some people some money. What do you think?
Yes,
or lose
Spread
money.
The wealth.
Jump in.
The old small spreads, big rewards.
Small risks.
Well, it's going to be spreads.
It's going to change every week. Let's be honest. Come on, guys.
We may want to do some money lines. We may want to do some over-unders. For you guys out there watching this segment, this is where we're going to tell you what we think you should be betting on. So if you take some risks with us, we hope to be able to help reward you. We're going to be starting off. Dave, what are we looking at here, bud?
First game preview. The New York Football Giants at the Washington Football Team. This is a battle of footballs, boys.
Sorry, is this soccer?
Football? Right? I'm putting money on the Giants here. With Washington having the injuries that they do, their defense is incredible. And don't get me wrong, like, it's disgustingly good how good their defense can be. I don't see them winning this game. I can't see it happening, and I like the 2.58 payout for money line.
Yeah.
That, or if you want to play a little safer, just take the spread. They should be within a field goal in this game.
Yeah, that's fair.
Thoughts?
What do you think for the over-under?
Definitely an under.
Definitely under.
Yeah, this game's going to be like...
Yeah, I mean, the Giants are not a productive offense with an already good defense with the Redskins. Fitzpatrick, their starting quarterback, out. That's a fair thought.
I think it's going to be like 17-13.
And it's not going to be like a split down the middle of who's going to have what. Like, I think in all honesty, you could see, if anything, I actually might say that New York definitely is going to win. Definitely is a strong word I just threw in there.
You're gonna kill us here, bud.
I loosely threw in that word definitely. But I do
people are
see
betting on Washington right now too, because when I made my pick 6 hours ago, the line was already less for the Giants. So
yeah, but I just think that, like you said, like such a good defense that's on Washington, but I also think that their offense is going to be struggling a little bit without having Fitzmagic there, and that's where you're going to might even just see it be like a 17-7 or something like that kind of win, where like you might get Washington squeak away one with Heineke or with like a J.D. McKissick and a good little like screen pass or decent little wheel route or something like that. People didn't see him coming, but like in the end, I think that it'll be big shoulders. Saquon's got to come back.
An unfortunately quiet Thursday night, possibly.
Yeah.
That'll be
Moving on.
Hey,
To our next one.
there's football fans out there that like those teams, all right? This
Sadly.
game's a little more exciting. Back to the weird and wacky, wild AFC East.
Mm-hmm.
The Buffalo Bills are being hosted by the Miami Dolphins.
The
I was thinking of like the University of Miami.
yeah.
The U. So you got a nice spread here. Good, it hasn't changed. 152 for Buffalo. I think you just hammer that. That's a safe bet. It really is. You could also take the spread, or the over. The over's good too here, I think, as well. But I think it's bounce back for Josh Allen and the boys. I think that Buffalo should go into Miami with confidence, and they should be able to take out
Big comeback game.
this team.
Yeah. I personally like the spread better just based on the odds. I think they win by more than 3, and a 1.8 is better than 1.5. So
Yep.
I think the spread's probably going to be the way to go. An over should hit because, again, like we were talking about earlier, Miami is definitely still a serviceable offense. They've got some strong opportunities with, their wide receivers, Fuller coming back, that kind of stuff too. The over should be good, but my money's on the spread.
Yeah. Okay, I like it.
No, I agree with Luke. It's the spread as well. I think that if Buffalo's going to win, it's going to be more than 3 points.
That's fair.
And that they're going to win.
Yeah.
This next game is this for me is Jacksonville and Houston from last week. I'm not touching this game.
Personally, don't want to see it.
Cincinnati beat the Vikings. That blew my mind. Chicago is favored here. If I have to,
Speechless.
if I have to, and I will after, you'll see at the end of this segment. I'm going to risk it on Cincinnati money line. If I want to put a bet that I feel more confident and safe with, I'm probably just going to put money on the over.
Yeah. I think that's definitely the safe bet. Looking at 44.5. Yeah, 44.5, 45 is probably a fair place to go. I don't like either team personally.
I could see it being the same score as last week. I could see it 27-24. I really could for the Bengals.
I think
tight.
I honestly think that personally Cincinnati is actually going to, I think that it's actually a good bet. I mean, what's that, 2.24 right now?
Yep.
That's that. So I mean, like, I think that's actually a good bet. Like, they could very well win that game. The only thing that loses in that game is if Montgomery goes bananas.
Yeah.
Man, he did really well last week.
That's the only thing. That's the only thing that gets in the way of that game. Personally,
Yeah,
I think that's the only thing is Montgomery. If Montgomery has a bad game or they shut him down, then Cincinnati, I think, is just going to start to click.
Yeah.
I think Joe Burrow's going to find his guys.
I think this could be the game where we start to see Fields more.
Yeah.
Because if Dalton is losing at home to a Cincinnati Bengals team, that's it, man.
You gotta call-
The
you gotta
fans
call
will
it
let him hear
pretty
it.
quick.
The fans will go down there, just pull by hand. You'll see the hook from all the fans in the stadium just come over and just start pulling Dalton off the field.
Just a bunch
and
of
then they'll
taped
just start
together
pushing.
straws.
And they'll just start doing
They
it that
feed him to
way.
the actual bear.
Yeah.
All right, next game.
Next.
Another 2:00 game or 14 o'clock, of course, with the old American
14 o'clock
military time.
American time.
Denver at Jacksonville. We've kind of already touched base on this one. This is a weird game. I definitely think Denver wins the game, but I would actually put Jacksonville with the spread, the +6. Is it still +6?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would take the spread. I think that Denver will win the game, but I think it's going to be by like probably 4 or 5. I think 6 is too many. It's the first game at home. I liked what I saw out of Trevor Lawrence. I think he played quite well. His team overall
He
wasn't
had
so
3
great.
touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
Yeah, but they were playing comebacks, right? They were slinging just garbage time too. But I think an over is also a fair bet on this one as well.
Yeah, I mean the 45 line is definitely intriguing. I personally take the under.
Yeah.
I think.
Good.
Just again, the Denver D is much more stout than Houston. Again, Teddy Bridgewater has lost a weapon, so Jerry Jeudy, would be a big reliance. Losing a weapon like that, maybe that score comes down a little bit just by being able to focus on the other better options. I personally would take the under, but I think obviously the big easy safe money is Denver money line.
Yeah.
They're gonna win for sure.
I mean, the payout's only 1.37.
Yeah, it's not necessarily worth it, but if you pair that with a parlay on
Bills
something a
money
little bit more, and something a little more risky, we'll see.
Oh, more risky. I was thinking if you want just a nice safe bet.
Oh no, I wanted to pair that with something that might be a little bit more risky to help
Fair.
you make more money.
Gotcha. All right.
Yes.
The Texans being hosted by the big old Brownies. Is this the lowest paying money line of the week, I do believe.
Yeah, and it's like one of the lowest.
No, Tampa Bay still, but
one of the
pretty
lowest paid.
close.
Look at the
I've
money
seen.
line on Houston on this, man. It is just bananas.
It's juicy. It's juicy, but I think it's juicy for a reason.
Yeah.
I think I do think 12.5 points might be too many.
Yeah.
I like the idea of Houston on the plus 12.5.
Yeah.
And I would take an over as well. I think that both teams will put up some good points.
If Tyrod
12.5 is too much.
If Tyrod can be anything near what he was last week, then you definitely have the opportunity at taking that over because the Browns are going to score some points.
Yep.
Browns are going to score probably 35 points.
Yep. And I think the Texans will put up
17, 18 maybe.
more than
Something
that.
like that. You think?
Yeah, they'll be in the
20-some?
20s. Yeah.
You think so? I don't know if they're gonna be in the 20s.
Yeah.
I do agree with you that
You'll get a weird special teams touchdown or something like that too. It can happen, right?
all those lines, like the Houston
Pick
money
six.
line is definitely juicy, but I think that the one that you can definitely make some decent money with at the 1.9 is that spread. I can't see them losing that hard. And if they do, it's full tank. So we'll see.
All right. On to what I think will be a very good game. The Las Vegas Raiders at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I hate both of these teams with a lot of my heart.
Especially after last night.
Las Vegas a lot more than I ever did.
A lot more than before.
I think that Las Vegas is a good team. I think that Pittsburgh is a much better team. I think that Pittsburgh is flying under the radar this year. Everyone's focused on the Browns winning the division, and there's a lot of talk of Lamar and the Ravens, of course, to make the playoffs. But now we have a lot of injuries. I doubt it's going to happen. I think Pittsburgh is just top of that division. So I like the money line. It's paying okay. It's paying well enough. They're obviously quite favored. It's hard to go on the road and go into Pittsburgh. That being said, I think the Raiders could hold the money line or the spread. Sorry, I think they could stay within the 5.5. And again, I'm taking the over. It's the Raiders. You always bet the over on the Raiders.
My money is over there for sure because I think, unfortunately, last night's game was really sloppy when it came down to turnovers and offense. And I mean, the Raiders did not look good on offense for a fair part of the game. Steelers, you can't do that against the Steelers, man.
No.
There's going to be defensive touchdowns, I think, this one for sure. And I think you see Najee Harris.
At that point, do you
pump
think you take the Steelers spread then? You think they're going to win by more than 6?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah, personally. But I mean, my money's going to go towards the over for sure.
Fair.
For sure.
Drake, thoughts? Stick away from that one?
I might say the under.
Yeah.
And the
Sloppy,
only reason,
weird
it's
game.
the only thing I don't actually, not necessarily that. I just think that Pittsburgh's defense, especially with how they held Buffalo for a while in that game, that's my only thing. I don't think Vegas is as good as Buffalo.
No.
And if that defense plays to that same caliber that they did, then they are not scoring nearly as many points.
And then they're going to say, man, they didn't pay TJ Watt enough.
Yeah, and that's my that's my only thing on the over under. And it might be the only reason that if I wanted to, I wouldn't even touch it because you never know.
The reason I go the over there is because if it's that heavy with defense and the Raiders getting shut down, it's going to be like a 42-10 game. Like
possible.
the
You think
Steelers
you
could
think they'll
just go
off?
bananas.
You think they'll
Like,
go off like that?
defensive touchdowns. Najee Harris comes in, has a big breakout game in his second game, first game at home. Like
It's a hard game to kind of bet on right now. Like it really is.
Davey, what we got next, brother?
This is my guarantee.
Ooh, the Dave guarantee.
Yeah, this is
Because we
that's
can't
how you
do
know.
lock.
That's how you know they're gonna lose. Just like the Vikings last week. Oh my god, that was such a bad game. They should not have called that Dalvin Cook fumble. That was baloney. Anyways,
Baloney.
This is your Los Angeles Rams visiting the Indianapolis Colts. You slam the Rams money line here. It is paying decently well.
Yeah.
1.52.
Yeah.
And after watching Stafford and that team do what they did on Sunday night against, I think the Bears are a better team than the Colts personally.
Especially defense.
Minus their quarterback situation. Well, that being said, Wentz is he looked okay. He did better than I thought he would, but it wasn't phenomenal. But yeah, I think you just slam the money line on the Rams. You could take the spread. You could take the over. I think it's honestly, the Rams have quickly become one of my favorite NFC teams to run into the show.
Yeah, I think we can all say that because we talked about them a ton this episode.
Yeah, we're all Rams fans today.
It's hard not to at this point.
Is that and honestly, for the one bit, I almost said I was going to go under, but I was like, no, because the only reason I'm not going to say under isn't necessarily because of the defense, just because of how good that offense is. But when you look at the defense of that Rams team, and the only thing that really shot out of the usual, Donald being amazing and everything, the way that they use Ramsey, the way they use him, they put him in that star position that just go anywhere. And at one point, I'm pretty sure he made 5 tackles in a row.
Yep.
They just put him anywhere on the thing. And so I'm like,
he got bored.
Yeah.
That's what he said. He's like, McVay, I'm literally bored. Like, they won't throw me the ball.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we'll figure out how to use you. And they have.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I think that defense is better than their offense. And their offense is amazing. Right now.
Well, like I was saying when we were watching the game, that team having 2 Madden 99 club defenders is disgusting. That's crazy.
So they'll win. They'll win 42 to me. I'll give them 10. I'll give them 10.
I think it'll,
like 17,
it'll be closer than that,
19.
but that's where my money is on that spread for sure.
Yeah.
I just think that's how
they're
big
by
it's
more
going
than
to
four.
mean. Like, I think that's where the gap's going to be. I think that they're going to crush them. They're going to annihilate them. Sorry, Indy fans. I've got a few friends of mine that I'm just disappointed, but still.
Same. David, what do you got next?
Man, this is
Tough one
it's not.
for you.
The Pats didn't look good, man. I think you take the Jets at home.
One of the stories you were saying. One of the stories you were saying for Week 1 was Belichick will not let that team lose against the Dolphins in Week 1. Not
With
going
a
to happen.
full off season to prep for it.
And they did.
Yep.
So that is mildly disappointing.
100%.
I mean, hey, I'm not a big fan of the Pats, so I don't really care.
Correct.
But as many Pats fans are around us, that can definitely be disappointing. And the Jets,
I just
Where you at?
think that the 1.39 isn't enough. And I think that the almost 3
You need to
points
take-
is just too.
If you had to take like a risk or anyway, like hey, this is going to be
100%.
one that I might take out of my usual parlay.
The
or
spread
whatever.
is safer. Yeah, the spread is safer.
Yeah.
And I would probably roll the under on this game too. It'll probably be a sloppy back and forth game. But I think that it's a battle of 2 rookie quarterbacks and 2 pretty Jets defense isn't great, but it's not awful either. But they seemed like they started to mesh a little bit. They kept the Panthers, which looked like a pretty good offense. They kept the Panthers down to 19 points.
19 points, yeah.
So I think you roll if you want to risk some money, put it on the money line. If you want to feel a little more safe, I think you stay within the 5.5 for the Jets. And I like the under.
I agree across the board.
Yeah, I think it's the other one that you keep. Yeah, and I just think that's the one. If anything, it's the one that you keep out of your parlay. And
this, folks, because we have a 3-way agreement, this is when you bet all your money on the New England Patriots to win the Super Bowl. And their season's going to turn around and we're all idiots. All right, Sunday night. I've been waiting all day. Oh, man, Carrie killed it.
Oh, she killed it.
She's good.
God,
she's
Sunday
so
night
good.
yet, bud. We're still
I
on
know.
2 o'clock
I
games,
know,
baby.
but we watched it. It was.
14
I just started getting
always-
excited. I started thinking about it. And
There's nothing like the first
How about the
play
Rams?
NBC.
It's true. It's
The
true.
Rams.
So-
I'm thinking about the Rams. Yeah, so we're getting into the evening game soon, but still we have a division game. Saints at Panthers. Panthers paying pretty well, but they should No, it's Saints at the money line. It's Saints on the spread, and it's over.
Yes.
I'm outside of the over in that. I actually might go Carolina.
Okay.
And the only reason I'm saying is that I know that I don't want to overreact on how well that New Orleans offense or that game went for New Orleans, because I think that more reflects on how bad the Packers did.
It's true.
Yeah,
But when
goes
you
both
look
ways.
at McCaffrey, here's the thing. McCaffrey, I think he set a record for the most amount of yards in a game without getting a touchdown. He's finding the end zone.
Oh,
He is
yeah.
finding the end zone that game, and he will do it repeatedly. And I think Sam Darnold's going to be upset about what happened. I think he wants to kind of pick everything up and just kind of play a little bit better.
I think the only thing that you said that makes me scared about picking, for example, the spread or something like that is CMC.
Yeah.
He's the only variable there for me. Otherwise,
Just safe bet, take the over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a safe bet. Safe bet, take
At
the over.
44, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's like a 31-28 game or something like that for the Saints.
For sure.
I just think that this is weird. This is maybe it's too early because we just, again, reflection of how Packers maybe didn't play so well. But the Saints might be a better team with Winston than they were with Drew Brees because of the deep ball.
Bold.
Because of the deep ball.
Bold.
He can throw
Dave, he didn't even have 200 yards.
I know that, but he can throw the ball deep, and it opens up the game So much more.
Gonna put the outro
when
here.
you're prepping against Drew Brees, and that team, you don't have to worry about the deep ball. It's just not. It's not there. If he gets one, you're like, oh well, okay.
Wow,
congrats, old man. Like didn't get in you. But with James, like shit, this guy's gonna go deep regardless of who. Like we're triple covering a guy. Like it doesn't matter.
Well, Dave,
You don't have a guy who can catch in triple coverage, I find, though.
He does come in prepared.
Anyways.
What did his trainer tell him? To be prepared.
He's always prepared. Anyways, so let's prepare for the next game. I love this game. I will probably be watching some of this game.
Oh, yeah.
San Francisco goes into Philadelphia. I'm taking Philly. I'm taking Philly money line. I'm taking Philly spread, and I'm taking an under. I think it's going to be a weirdly defensive game. I think that Philadelphia is an underrated team. Their defense is better than people give them credit for, and their offense is way better than people give them credit for. Not to take away from San Fran, who are obviously the favorites. I'm putting my money on Philly.
With Mostert out, I mean, again, we talked about Elijah Mitchell being strong. Sermon's going to come in and try and demand the ball a little bit. Deebo Samuel looked really good. Trey Lance could come in and kind of, I don't know, Dave. I don't think I can give it to Philly. Mm-hmm. I like the spread. I like them to stay within a field goal. I don't necessarily see it going 50, so I think you're probably right by calling it under. But I don't know that I would put my money at 2.5. I don't think it's enough.
It's fair.
Personally.
What are your thoughts?
I agree with Luke. I think that the under's fine. I just don't know about Philly, and I'd almost myself just stay away from trying to pick who's who in this one. Yeah. I know that's a 2.5, but like honestly, like anything can happen between these two teams. And I put a lot of their stuff on the kind of the very too close, like their offensive are. The only thing that scares me is San Fran's defense. With Bosa.
I just feel like Jalen Hurts could crumble and they just won't win. I don't necessarily believe that, like, again, they won't keep it close, that it couldn't be a decently scored game. Mm-hmm. I just personally do not feel Philly's going to win the game.
Or if you were watching this for us to reassure your pick that you were going to bet on Philly, they could also blow up. And
it's true, actually.
You can see them go well. So
I think it's a nice bet for you boys to think and consider then is money line for San Fran, money line for New Orleans, and money line for the Rams. You put those three together, and I think you guys got yourself a bet you'll really love.
Yeah, that's a money back kind of bet. Yeah.
But moving on to another game that's going to be so close.
Oh God! Yeah, we have our biggest spread point total of the week.
Holy!
We have Atlanta going into Tampa Bay, which is just nuts. Like I think earlier in the show, I think that I said that they're going into Atlanta, but it's the other way around, obviously.
It's really unfortunate for Atlanta.
1.11 payout for Tampa, and that's gonna get lower.
10 cents on your dollar.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the bet to make. Obviously, there's no way Atlanta's gonna beat Tampa Bay. I think you take the spread, and I think you take the over.
Yeah, I think the spread is fair, and I think Tampa Bay could do the over themselves.
Yeah.
I personally wouldn't take the over just because I don't like doing over 50. It's just scary. Well, the Falcons scored 6 points last week, so they're obviously not a team that's going to score a bunch. It's a little nerve-wracking.
They do get a chance to reflect.
Bucks D, man. Bucks D's solid.
Yeah, very good. They're very good.
I think if I'm going to pick one, it's going to be the spread just because 1.95 is nice. The 1.11 is not anything worthwhile. The over scares me a little bit.
Tampa, all the way. Yeah, I'm going over just because I think that Tampa themselves will score 52 points.
I could see them putting up 48.
I weirdly feel confident that they may put up at least 48 points.
Yeah, crazy.
All right,
next game. What are we going next there, boys? Last couple on the home stretch.
Man, the Cardinals are so strange of a team. Minnesota's going into Arizona. I'm taking Zona. I'm taking the money line. Yep. Taking the spread. I'm taking the over.
Over.
I'm flying high in overs this week.
Over's big on this one, though, man.
Kyler Murray looked like a goddamn... he's a man.
He is a man.
He's an athlete.
A man.
Everyone else was like ants, and he's the smallest one on the field.
Yeah. They're going to straight up, I think, just like... I think it might even actually stay weirdly close, that game.
Yep.
I think because you'll see Kirk Cousins slinging, and you're going to see Kyler slinging. Kyler's going to sling more, and more people are going to catch his balls. But still, I think that you're just going to see it kind of go.
This is going to be a Justin Jefferson versus Hopkins game. Like, I think Hopkins is going to go off, and I think JJ is going to say, "No, I want to too." Like, let's go.
Perfect. Yep. All right. I like it. All right. We're closing in on it. Let's go. Dallas at the Chargers. Chargers are favored 1.62, and Dallas is coming in as an underdog with a 3-point spread. I'm taking Dallas across the board. I like Dallas as a money line. I think that they look way better than I expect them to at the beginning of the year. Dak looked great. I like the spread for obvious reasons if I'm taking the money line, and I think it's going to be a shootout. I think this is going to be a wild game. And I'm taking the over.
Yeah. Again, I personally, like I was saying, I don't like the big overs. The 155 is kind of scary, but I mean, the money for 2.33 on the Cowboys is hard to pass up.
Yep. I agree. I think that Dallas wins all the way.
All right. Titans go into Seattle. Titans were the team that really let me down last week, and I think they're going to let most people down this week too if they bet on them. That's why Seattle is really favored, 1.38. I like this money line. I think it's paying decently enough. This would be something I would pair along with Bills, Saints, something like that. My line is for money back. Seattle Russ just look fucking good.
So good.
I'm taking my line for Seattle. I'm taking the spread for Seattle, and again, I'm taking the over.
You're just over it, Dave.
Yeah, man.
You're over all of it.
Russ is cooking.
Only thing I would challenge you on is I would go under. Okay.
I'm gonna black sheep it. I'm gonna go for Tennessee here. I don't think Derrick Henry is gonna be shut down for another game. Can't see it. He was quiet in the last game. I think Derrick Henry is gonna come in and just splash.
Yeah, he should have a better game than he did last week.
He needs to, and it just in his own mental, I think that's what's gonna happen.
And then I won't be waiting all day for Sunday night.
Quite the game.
I love how we're looking at Sunday night and Monday night for you boys.
Yeah. So Sunday night, the Chiefs come into M&T Bank Stadium at the Baltimore Ravens. They are favored by 4 points. I think you take the money line on the Kansas City Chiefs. I like the. I'll take the spread for the Ravens. Just keep this within a field goal. They usually do when these two teams match up, unless it's like a blowout, which doesn't happen a lot with these two teams. This will be a good game, and obvious reasons. You got two MVP quarterbacks on a Sunday night, and I'm taking the over.
I think
Mahomes could put up 35.
I think you're a little biased, personally.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I didn't mean to be an ass. But no, Phillips is now on IR too, so you have 14 players on the IR. I don't see you keeping it.
Rack it up.
I don't see you keeping it within 4.
Fair.
I'm taking the Chiefs spread on that.
I might flip-flop on that one.
Yeah, I'm taking the Chiefs spread.
But
there.
I will not be betting on Baltimore.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
And last but certainly not least, the Motor City Miracle team go into Green Bay.
Since when is that Green Bay's nickname?
Yeah.
Motor City Miracle.
Yeah. Detroit has to play at Green Bay. You gotta play at Lambeau, bud. Look at the favor on Green Bay. Even after just a shellacking by the Saints, they're still favored by a heavy
best
amount.
favor all week.
11 points might be too much. I'm gonna take the money line of the Packers. I would take the spread of the Lions, and I would take the under.
I'm going to go over there. The 48 looks good to me because I think Aaron Rodgers is going
not quite 50.
Go sling. Exactly. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to sling. I do think that Detroit probably will not lose by 11. I think that's a little steep. But Green Bay is the easy winner there.
Drake, what do you feel?
Easy winner, definitely disagree with.
Okay.
But definitely not keeping. They're not gonna lose by 11 if that's the case. Like that's not gonna happen. Under, I think I agree with for sure. I'll always put aside $5 to bet on my lines every single week on its own single ticket. Now that we can do single game betting in Canada,
you're looking at losing like $60 a year,
60, eh?
Just for free.
5 times 12 is 60.
Yeah, lose 12 games.
there's 17 games.
Oh no, sorry, they're gonna lose them all. It's hard doing the math of 5 times 17, I guess. But yeah.
They're gonna win a couple.
I went straight to you chirping me because you thought that it was just going to be they're losing every single game.
No, I was going to be at least half decent about it.
5 wins, man. It's nice.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a massive when it comes to the money line. But hey, who knows? Green Bay maybe might not put it all together.
Best of luck, man. Best of luck on that $5 win.
At the end of the year,
I'm going to look into the camera for this one. By no means am I telling you to do what I'm doing right now.
Not do this at home.
As a Lions fan, I have to, and so I will tell you that if they lose, it won't be with more than 11, and I do think it will be the under though. As an actual
I'm changing my bet
game.
to the spread for the Pack. They're gonna go in. They're gonna be at home, and they're gonna just destroy the Lions now.
That is
Dave
purely
changing his
because of me
mind.
there.
Yeah, 100%.
All me there. You're like, no, you know what? Never mind. The Packers heard Drake. They're going to just absolutely destroy it. And
So-
then just,
All right,
is it.
everybody, we're gonna wrap it up here. Again, thank you very much for tuning in.
Are we gonna
Oh no,
lay it small
I'm
on the
gonna
line?
I'm gonna let you end us
God.
off with
Okay.
that. I'm gonna let you end us off with that. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to our content. We are going to be coming at you with more episodes every week when it comes down to the Small Sports Podcast and everything we're doing here for football. If you like our fantasy takes and our bets, let us know. If you don't like it, also let us know. Where are you at? Tell us what we're doing wrong, because I think we're probably right. I don't know. I feel good about it. But in general, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, podcast, Podbean, Apple
Twitters,
Podcasts,
the Twitters.
Spotify, Twitter, all over the place.
On the interwebs.
And to send us off, we're gonna lay it small on the line. Dave, give them the last big bet.
All right, let's bet $100, and we're gonna make $2,626.
Tell me how.
This is a 4-game parlay. We are betting the money line of the Giants to beat the Washington football team. We are going to also bet the money line for the Bengals, who are also a visiting team. We're going to bet the money line for the Cowboys. And then we're going to take the Jets to cover the 5.5 point spread.
Nice.
You bet $100, you're making $2,600.
That's a solid bet. Those are all
Go making money.
4 things that could happen.
It could happen.
It could happen. Angels in the
I just
outfield.
got excited.
Everybody, we're signing off. Thanks again.
Later.
Bye.